Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that. And also, if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well, if there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision related video here on my channel, and another instalment in my sporadic series titled What We Know So Far. It's been a number of weeks since I filmed a video like this, and I thought it was high time that I sat down to film another one. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It is greatly appreciated. I do need to respond to more comments moving forwards, so that is one of my aims, absolutely. And as always, links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So I have some information in front of me to make sure I don't forget anything too important. Let's see what has changed since the last time I filmed a video like this. The answer really is not much. Not much at all. And we are nearing the end of September. Surely we will be getting more juicy details within the next couple of weeks. I'd be highly surprised if by this time next month we do not know the logo, the venue, the dates, when tickets are going to go on sale. I'd be very, very surprised if we are still in the dark regarding all of those very important details. Anyway, we know that next year's contest is the 67th edition of Eurovision, and it's going to be staged somewhere in the United Kingdom. We know the reasons as to why, because Ukraine are still dealing with Russia, although from the sounds of it, Russia are doing a pretty crap job at the moment, and because of safety concerns, the EBU, who organise Eurovision, of course, said, we don't think Eurovision can be staged in Ukraine, on Ukrainian soil, next spring. And I think they said that wisely, because nobody knows what the situation will be like next May, and this announcement was made several months ago, when it was even more unclear what the situation was going to be like next spring. So I think the right thing was done. And at first it seemed as though the Ukrainian broadcaster, they weren't happy about this, but then they came out and said, actually, if the UK's doing it, fine, we're okay with that. It just so happened that the UK finished second in Turin earlier this year after years of mediocre results, and so it's going to be here in my country next spring. Fantastic, can't wait. Let's see what else it says here. Now, a whole bunch of cities came out and said, we are interested in potentially bidding to stage next year's event. This happened very quickly after the announcement that the UK would be staging next May's contest. The list was then whittled down to a shortlist, and that shortlist was revealed on the 12th of August, so it's already been over a month since we found out the 7 cities left in contention. They are Birmingham, Glasgow, Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle and Sheffield. Now, I have not been to all of these cities, but I know a fair bit about all of them. Birmingham's hosted Eurovision before. The last time it was in the UK in 1998. That was not at the venue that is in contention this time. The venue that is in contention for 2023 in Birmingham is the Resorts World Arena. I've spoken about these places before. It is part of the NEC complex. In fact, most people would just say it's at the NEC rather than the Resorts World Arena. But anyway, it's a pretty big place. It's not far from an airport, and apparently there's plenty of accommodation nearby as well. I'm sure the hardcore fans among us have already booked dates next May in all of these cities, so they are well prepared to attend next spring. As for Glasgow, the hot favourite since day one, it's the OVO Hydro, which is also part of a complex. It's a sort of circular building from the outside, a bit like a bowl, and it lights up, and the exterior was seen in the Netflix Eurovision movie as well, which I think is one of the reasons why it's the hot favourite, to be honest with you. It has been in Scotland before Eurovision, but not since the early 70s, and that was in Edinburgh at the Usher Hall. This would be a very popular choice with a lot of Eurovision fans, but what is letting Glasgow down is the travelling to the city in the first place. Particularly, for example, if you live in Cornwall, it's not the easiest place to get to. You could get a flight, you could get a train, but here in the UK at the moment, strikes everywhere, and they could well be continuing next spring. So the logistics, certainly for me and where I live, getting to Glasgow, not the easiest thing to do. Does take a bit of planning, and of course if people have, big jobs as well, they need to sort time off, and oh, what a palaver. Anyway, enough rambling about that. Leeds has the first direct arena. I've seen very little momentum with the Leeds bid, and if I have to be honest with you, I think they have no chance of success here. Liverpool is really coming up on the rails. On the BBC, when they've been talking about Eurovision, which is very odd for this time of year, it must be said, Liverpool has been mentioned a lot. They usually have a reporter on the ground in Liverpool. It's the M&S Bank Arena, not the biggest arena we've got in contention, but sizable enough for an event like Eurovision. Rich musical history. The council are really behind this. Everybody, it seems, who works in politics in Liverpool wants Eurovision to be in their city next year. So do not rule out Liverpool 2023. As for Manchester, the AO Arena is massive. It is the largest indoor arena in the UK and one of the largest in Europe. Manchester's never hosted before. Also got a rich musical heritage and scene, past and present. The only issue I think with Manchester is that the arena really is slap bang in the middle of everything. So having a building nearby for the press and electrical equipment and all of the other stuff that's needed, it might be a little bit hard to sort of juggle that all in that quite compact space. The arena's big, but I'm talking about the spaces nearby. It's a bit crammed already. So I'd be interested to see how Manchester would get around that. Anyway, Newcastle, no chance, with all due respect. The Utilita Arena, Newcastle, is supported by Newcastle City Council. Excuse me, but I've seen very little in the way of attention online about this bid. The same can be said for Sheffield. I have a great friend who lives in Sheffield, who went to the family show of Eurovision earlier this year, so it would be a great opportunity to meet up with them and have a blast. But I do not think Sheffield is going to win whatsoever. I've seen very little about their bid as well, to be honest with you. It's still between Manchester and Glasgow as far as I'm concerned, but don't rule out Liverpool. That is gaining a lot of attention. Now, the deadline was fairly recently with regards to countries/broadcasters saying they want to take part in the 2023 edition. A whole bunch of countries have come out and said, we're taking part. They are Albania, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Georgia, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, San Marino, Serbia, Slovenia, Sweden and Switzerland. Australia's national final, FIC, always takes place around the Christmas period. That will be the case again. Croatia are using Dora, their national final format. That will be next February. Denmark and Estonia are having their national finals on the same day, February the 11th. That is, of course, DMGP and Eesti Laul. Finland, also February for UMK. Iceland, 4th of March, so that will be one of the latest national finals. We know Israel's representative, a huge star in her homeland, Noah Kirel. She has won MTV European Music Awards. Her music videos have had millions of views online. Could be a real showstopper, that one. Latvia next February, that's going to be Supernova. Malta next February, February the 11th, so the same day as Denmark and Estonia. Fantastic, that'll be a busy evening. Malta's national final is extended for next year. More songs than ever before, quite frankly. Is it necessary? Highly doubtful. Norway, MGP next February. Poland on the 26th of February. Are they having a national final then? Oh, I'm going to have to read that article. San Marino, Una Voce per San Marino, is on February the 25th, and even though Achille Lauro didn't qualify in Turin earlier this year, I think sticking with that format is probably a good idea. Sweden, Melfest, which will be touring the country again. Have we found out the cities it's going to. I think we have. But anyway, March the 11th. Sweden, once again, usually the last national final. As for automatic finalists, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Ukraine and the UK. Ukraine's national final, I believe, is taking place in the Kyiv metro, of all places, this December. It could be before Albania's. Spain's Benidorm Fest is on 4th of February. Italy's Sanremo, would you believe it, is also on February the 11th. Fantastic, fantastic. What a great busy day that's going to be. A whole bunch of countries have also said that they're not taking part next year. Andorra, I'm thoroughly disappointed with them, quite frankly. They're not taking part. Luxembourg won't be back. Monaco won't be back. Possibly for 2024, maybe. I've got high hopes. North Macedonia, oh, they'll say yes. Slovakia are also not taking part because of money issues and low viewing figures. So there we are. Then there's also talk here about Kosovo and Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein are not even applying to become members of the EBU anymore. Thoroughly disappointing. And Kosovo, there's too much political stuff behind the scenes with a Kosovan participation. I think it could be many years yet before we see them take part. What else is there to really talk about? Well, backing vocals, pre-recorded backing vocals, will be allowed again. However, all lead vocals, once again, must be live. And you know what? I was watching some of the 2021 contest in Rotterdam online the other day, and I think a lot of the musicians were really relying on that rule. I really do. So I'd like it to really feel more live again in 2023. Hopefully I'll be there in person. I've spoken about that on my channel before. I've spoken about it with a really great friend of mine, and as soon as we know the host city, I'm getting in touch with him, and we are going to have a big discussion about, can we do it, where is it going to be, can we get, all of those things we'll be discussing. Really, there's not much else to say whatsoever. This is pretty much the same video as one that I filmed a couple of weeks ago. In terms of other Eurovision related news, this was an article in a newspaper not so long ago. It's only a little thing here, but it does say the UK to compete in Junior Eurovision. Oh yes, it's all gone quiet ever since the announcement that the BBC would be taking part. It used to be ITV, but the BBC are taking over from them. It says here the UK will compete in the JESC for the first time since 2005. The broadcaster will air the contest for children aged between 9 and 14 for the first time in its history. Armenia, we think, will host the event on the 11th of December. I say that because, again, there's a bit of political tension between Armenia and their neighbours Azerbaijan. I've seen rumours online that the Netherlands could step in as a sort of emergency host instead of Yerevan in Armenia this December. We wait and find out more details about that. I've also seen a lot of Eurovision fans online kick up a stink saying that Azerbaijan should be banned from both Junior Eurovision and the grown-up contest. Is that going to happen? I highly doubt it. But anyway, it also says here a process to select an act and song in the UK is now underway. It's all very hush-hush, believe me. Led by the CBBC channel, that's the children's broadcaster, and BBC Studios Entertainment. Patricia Hidalgo, the director of BBC Children's and Education, said, "We are beyond excited to bring the Junior Eurovision Song Contest to the BBC for the first time, and to showcase the diverse young musical talent from across Europe for children and their families to discover and enjoy." That show is taking place on a day when there are no FIFA World Cup matches, because of course the football will dominate the TV listings from November to just before Christmas. And it just so happens that Junior Eurovision is on a day when there are no matches. How about that? It's a pretty big deal having it on BBC One. You know, I imagine the ratings, I don't know, a wild guess, maybe somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 million. Whereas for the adult competition, if you didn't know, the ratings are usually a pretty solid 7.5 to 9 million. So yeah, I think that would be pretty good stuff for the BBC, and hopefully we'll have a really smashing entry as well. That really is it. Not much else to say at all, but I fully expect big news within the next 2 weeks, and as soon as we know it, as soon as you know it, I will be trying to get a video out. Until then, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you on my channel again soon. Bye for now.